Hey, everybody, and welcome. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult. Today, we're going to talk about how Scientology was furious with Oprah. And I'm pretty sure she also upset John Travolta, Tom Cruise, and another guy who's not a Scientologist, but we're going to get into that. Winter Wonderland is not just a Hollywood blunder for Scientology. There is another Winter Wonderland in the Midwest. We're going to take a look and wait until you guys hear what has been happening there and potentially what's coming up. We're also going to jump into the topic of what are Scientology's alien beliefs and why did Scientology leader David Miscavige push a very specific book onto members of the Office of Special Affairs. It was mentioned the other day in a video with Aaron Levin on growing up in Scientology. I did some digging and we're going to look at a few highlights from that and try to figure out like why. Welcome everybody in the live chat. Thank you for being here. Huge mahalo to the moderators for your help today. Because what is it today, everybody? It's Aloha Friday. We need Aloha Friday music. I need to remember to line that up next time. I just feel like we need a little bit of something. So, as per usual, throw your hearts, your flowers, your alohas into the chat. Welcome, everybody, because that's just how we do it here. That is how we roll. So, let's get into some fun culty news here. First, we're going to kick it off talking about this Winter Wonderland in the Midwest. In Kansas City. To be specific. All right. First, I'm going to show you their website and give you an idea of, I think, what they're shooting for. And then we'll talk about what it actually is. So let's see here. This is Winter Wonderland, Kansas City. It opens today, y'all. It opens today. Praise be to Santa. Winter Wonderland, Kansas City opens today and goes through Christmas at the Culty Scientology parking lot on 18th and Grand. This is in Kansas City, Missouri, by the way. They have that same quote that is used at the Hollywood Winter Wonderland. Do you guys remember that? The L. Ron Hubbard quote that says, "On the day when we can fully trust each other, there will be peace on earth." Really, L. Ron Hubbard? You want to talk about peace on earth and trust? Call me jaded, call me biased, call me Natalie, the former Scientologist, spent 35 years in this cult, escaped with 3 generations of my family. So I don't know. I want to challenge that. I want to challenge that that's actually a belief in Scientology because you really go about it a very, very odd way. And we're going to look at some of those ways. So this is their website. Their mission statement for their Winter Wonderland is to share the spirit of generosity and happiness with those who need it most during the festive season and to promote harmony in the community and abundance. Well, I don't hate it if that there were the reason, but if you follow my channel, you know that that's not it. This is a public relations op. That is what it is for Scientology. They're going to do if they're going to do a ribbon cutting, I predict they're going to do it today. I bet that there were Scientologists up all night trying to get this ready because I'm going to show you some footage from yesterday that shows they were nowhere near ready. They're going to have free hot cocoa selfies, cookie decorations, selfies. That sounds code, like that they're promoting that you can do selfies. Yeah. Anybody with a phone can do a selfie. You don't have to go to Winter Wonderland for that. It is not something new that Scientology created, but hey, you get to do selfies. To me, that sounds like code for we were too cheap to hire a photographer, so you guys can come and just do selfies. That's what it's giving to me. That is the vibe. Sock snowman decorations. I never heard of that, but I guess you take a sock. I hope these are new socks. Are they going to make the kids take off their own socks and turn them into a snowman? Did people donate dirty socks? I don't know, but doesn't it make you wonder? A playground visit with Santa, toy request. So I guess that means you can ask Santa what you want for Christmas. Or does Scientology Santa request a toy from the child? You never know because we are talking about Scientology. There will be Christmas movies. So here is a shot from an earlier year. You can sign up to volunteer on this website. You can also help by donating, you guys, $25 up to $1,000 that you can donate for Scientology's Winter Wonderland. Now, I find this particularly egregious, I guess is how one might say it. It's like, here's Scientology doing this community event. It's free. Come join. And then on the same page, not even on another page, the same page. Oh, by the way, ka-ching ching, hit us up. Give us some money. Now, being that Scientology is a billion-dollar human trafficking cult, I don't know, could David Miscavige, the leader, just kick a few pennies over to Kansas City and sponsor these events? Maybe even hire professionals to set it up and even run it. That might be a good use of this money that you have nonprofit status for. That might be good community benefit and engagement. But no, we're going to put it there on the backs of overworked, underpaid Scientologists, and we're not going to really do anything but ask you for money. So now that is what their website says. So let's go take a look in Kansas City. We're going to look yesterday. Z News is someone who live streams and protests outside Kansas City, usually on Thursdays. Also auditing Scientology Kansas City. We've seen Mike out there. They go out together. Sometimes Mike goes out on a first Friday. And I'm hoping it is my Christmas wish that this weekend in Kansas City, others might show up to live stream and show us what happens at this winter wonderland. And you know what? The temps this weekend in Kansas City are supposed to be like in the 50s. Your girl was tempted. Your girl is tempted. It's not a ridiculously long drive, but I'm not sure. It is like right before Christmas and I am completely behind, but you never know. You never know. So Office of Special Affairs, stay on your toes. You never know. You just never know. You never know where I'm going to go. So let's go look at this now. This is from Auditing Scientology Kansas City and Z News. Allie does some amazing chalk tech in front of Scientology there. She writes some fantastic messages, and Scientology brings the kids each day during the week after they go to the Scientology school. Now, I don't know that that's where these kids are from, but this is what Scientology usually does in Kansas City. And the Scientologist is walking kids, and the kids immediately start reading the chalk, and the Scientologist is not having it. Look at them. They're totally reading it. They're child abuse, elder abuse. And watch her pull these kids back over.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. Nothing to see here. This is just the cult that we have you in. Yeah, isn't that interesting? Just pull the kids away so they don't read it. Well, across the street is where Scientology Kansas City, Missouri is doing their Winter Wonderland. Let's take a look, you guys. They were feverishly working on it, and Z News was out there chalking.
That they have to get their statistics up. They have to get a quota of how many people they hand flyers out to and how many people they get in the door and how many people. And if they don't get those, they get punished for it. So this is one of their, to get people into Scientology, this is one of their fronts. Yeah. Huh? This is they call themselves the Church of Scientology.
And then here comes, looks like a Scientologist coming up on her there. Is that guy vaping? What is he vaping?
They're a cult, and they
Meanwhile, Allie's letting people know what's up. What's up?
They do front groups. They have quite a few front groups. This is one of their setups.
Exactly. It is a setup to be like, oh, look at us. We are so churchy. We are so about the public good that we're putting together this winter wonderland here. But don't look too closely. Don't look too closely. Let's take a look at what happens when a Scientologist comes out to clean off the chalk, which joke is on them, because once the ground is wet and you go and you chalk over it, what happens? 1, stays on better. 2, you can read it better. So go ahead, wipe it down. Allie's just going to do it again. Check this out. But something happens when Allie walks by. So keep a close eye on Guy with the broom.
Excuse me? Were you? Oh, please don't do that. No, you just hit me. No, you just hit me with your broom, not the other way around. didn't even know that there's this one over here. I thought maybe he'd already scrubbed that one.
Yeah, he comes over and whacks her tripod with the broom as she's walking by. And they immediately are out there washing this down. And she's immediately just right back to it and letting people know who go by the truth of what's happening. At one point, you guys, a Scientologist tries to trick Allie into trespassing. Listen to this, but that girl is smart and she is not having it. And she knows how Scientology operates. Listen to this.
Yeah. Come in and help you? Because you'll trespass me on the property.
He's trying to convince her to, come in and help. You can come in and help.
You already have. I've already been trespassed from the property. No. I'm saying, like, I'm not allowed on your property. I've already been criminally trespassed. Like, if I stepped foot on your property, you'd call the police, and I would be held up. Yeah, like I trust you. Sure, I trust people.
Notice how he tries to make it about her having trust issues, that she just doesn't trust people. That's why you're not trusting me, the person trying to trick you into going on a private property of Scientology so that you can be arrested or trespassed, although she was already trespassed. Look how close, too. She's riding right there. Like, what's your deal? This is how you know, too. This is not someone coming out from Scientology to be all like, oh, what are you doing? Just come help us. No, this is an intimidation tactic. And I thought Allie handled it exceptionally well.
That I know people who've been abused by the organization, and I'm trying to bring awareness to the community.
And she's right back out there chalking, fail Scientology. They totally failed. Now, because I do recognize that sometimes I kind of might be biased, you guys watch that. Tell me, I want to hear in the chat. If you're on the replay, jump in those comments. One in the chat if you think this was a ploy to trick her into going in there so she would legally get in trouble. Or two, am I just being biased and this was a Scientologist really just saying, come help us. It's the holidays. One, if it was a setup. Two, if it was not. Three, if you have an alternative theory. You know, I love to hear it. Now, let's look at some news coverage of Kansas City's Winter Wonderland from a few years ago. And you might be asking, Natalie, why are you showing this from a few years ago? Well, let me tell you, because it really shows already what Kansas City thinks about this. They've been doing this for years. Okay, we got a lot of ones, you guys, being like, it's definitely a setup. Hey, Anonymous Lens, welcome. Yep, Andrew's like, set up. Tanya, set up. Mar, set up. Iron Rabbit, set up. Could be. Keep them coming. I'm gonna catch up on your comments here. Auditing Scientology Kansas City. So this is Mike, who is there every Thursday and on other days. OSA Matt, so Office of Special Affairs Matt, who's a guy there who they believe is the Director of Special Affairs. So basically like OSA's counterpart there. Walked closely behind me when I was next to the parking lot. He was probably hoping to intimidate me into stepping onto the parking lot so he could call the cops. That backs it up, Mike. That backs it up, especially if the guy who is Scientology's Office of Special Affairs, wake up, y'all, it's Friday. Let's get David Miscavige to really deliver the message. David Miscavige, wake up your people. It's Aloha Friday, Office of Special Affairs. So we are talking, as you know, about this whole Kansas City thing, right? And yeah, I think so too. Mike, I'm glad you brought that up because I think that is very much a thing. I do. Be Merry for Life. Thank you. Yeah, we hit 21,000 subs. Help spread the word a bit more. Cult of Scientology is a child and elder abusing cult that commits financial fraud as a business model. Thank you for that. And thank you for the reminder to hit like, hit subscribe. Now, take a look at this. This is a news story from a few years ago, and there's something very interesting about it.
Scientology unveiled its new location at the historic bank building at 18th and Grand.
Tonight, it's promoting a family-friendly winter wonderland.
And this is from a few years ago, okay? But it's going to really show you what they think about it.
Twinkly and festive, the signs beckon to a winter wonderland.
Does that look like a winter wonderland?
But Santa's rocking chair was empty tonight.
Did somebody just go grab that out of their grandma's basement? No doubt. Do they keep it in a basement at the org? How about some festive pillows for Santa?
And Mrs. Claus had no takers for cookie decorating and crafts.
Did you hear that? Mrs. Claus had no takers for cookie decorating and crafts. Like they're calling it out on the news. Had no takers. Here's the sock snowmen. Those are not new socks. Those are not new socks. Are you guys seeing this?
They call it snowman socks.
Organizers say there are more kiddos on nights that aren't so cold.
So there's a place where kids can play, then they offer these crafts, right? And then performances of sort.
Please welcome the Max Groove Trio.
Plus, the main event tonight was a jazz show drawing adults in a tent that's typically the site of a petting zoo when it's not too cold for the animals, too. Paige Little came from Liberty for the music. Did you know that it's a Scientology thing?
Yes, I did. I'm very fascinated by Scientology, so I look forward to learning more about it.
There's no way this woman is not a Scientologist. What do you guys think? Are we falling for it? Are we falling for it? Tell me what you guys think. All right, let's watch the rest of this.
We didn't meet anyone here who hasn't already either joined the church or at least admired Scientology.
Okay, did you get that? We haven't met anybody who isn't already a Scientologist or admires Scientology. Which, let's be honest, how many people are there really that are admiring Scientology in Kansas City? They're Scientologists. That's why. So I love this. This is a few years ago, but even the news is like, yeah, okay, for whatever reason, we're being forced to cover this. So let's let people know what a dud it is. There's nobody coming for cookies. You broken cookies. You dirty ass socks. This is just not what I would call family friendly. Dawn gloves. Ding, ding, ding. She's a plant. There's no way Scientology doesn't try to line up Scientologists to speak to the news when they're there. They try to control every aspect of these things because they try to control every aspect of everything. I remember stuff like this in Scientology when it came to public relations and getting the photo op. That's why today they're going to probably do a ribbon cutting. It's all about that photo op, and they're going to try and get people from the media or maybe people from the chamber. It's Kansas City, so who knows who they can get these days. And, who knows how well Osa Matt, as they call him in Kansas City, does his job. Would be his job to line up this kind of stuff. Buckled Up Buttercup says, she is so a Scientologist. I am a never in, and I can spot them at 50 yards now, thanks to you, Natalie and Aaron, and about 20 other people. Absolutely. Right? Andrew says the eyes give it away every damn time. Yep. Is any of the Scientology kids there? I think not. Well, those probably were the kids of Scientologists because they got to get people there when they know the news is coming. Because remember, they were saying like, oh, it's just really cold. That's why there's no kids here. So we just threw our own kids out there. Fill the seats. Fill the seats. Get your kids. Call up that Scientology school being run by, what's his name? Dan O'Connor, a person who allegedly threw a fax machine at Relatable Reese when she was a teenager and now somehow runs a school for Scientology kids. So that's how those kids are being influenced. Let's get them. Let's get them there. Let's bring in the children. Mary says the chair does look out of place, though. Yeah, it does. It's a little thing. It's a small touch. It'd be so simple. Throw a Christmas tree pillow on there. Go get some at a thrift shop even. It's going to be outside, right? They're going to be ruined. I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, Scientology, up your game. Now, let's see here. What are we looking at? I'm going to keep an eye out today and over the weekend. We'll see if anybody's out there live streaming and protesting. It's going to be interesting to see, one, does anyone show up? Now, it's going to be really nice in Kansas City, Missouri this weekend, especially on Sunday. It's supposed to be like 50 and 50 on Monday. And this is supposed to go each day until Christmas. So we shall see. We shall see. Now, let's take a look at Mike Brown's mom, Rosemary. This was a short that popped up. And it really makes a great point. It shows what a veteran Scientologist really thinks, what really impacted her thinking on, oh my gosh, am I actually in a cult? Because that's a question that I get a lot, and I think you guys too, and it can be answered so many different ways, is what made you leave Scientology? What impacted you? Let's take a look at this. And again, this is Rosemary, Mike Brown's mom.
But the biggest thing that I still had to get rid of was, I'm thinking, I still believed in LRH.
Right.
Like it was all this stuff,
Right.
but I still was holding on to that. Until you get rid of that part, the whole thing crumbles down as soon as you realize that LRH is a big piece of shit. You know what I mean?
I do.
And
It was
what
just
caused that for you, Rosemary?
watching that Going Clear documentary. When I watched that, I could remember I went outside with my walker, and I'm walking, and I thought, oh my God, I got to get out of here. I just felt like running down the street.
Right.
Until then, I was still hanging on to this hope about L. Ron Hubbard.
That is very common with many Scientologists, is that L. Ron Hubbard good, current Scientology leader David Miscavige bad. And of course, there's truth to that. But many find out after discovering the truth about L. Ron Hubbard, the lies that Scientology told us for so long, L. Ron Hubbard bad, like from day one, from the beginning. He went from sex cult, trying to bring it about the Antichrist, to Dianetics and Scientology. It also speaks to the power of these documentaries and the whistleblowers and the Scientologists who come out and are willing to share their stories. Multiple cult experts have said that sharing those firsthand accounts and stories is so impactful, not just on people never in Scientology who can then learn about it and gain a deeper understanding, but for former Scientologists or under the radar Scientologists, which is what we call Scientologists who actually want to leave, but because of a familial connection, they don't feel that they can. They're not ready for that to blow up and potentially lose that family member. It's Scientology's harmful practice of disconnection that really is the glue that holds this cult together. Because ask anybody who has doubts about Scientology who will be honest with you, and I've spoken to many under the radar and who've left Scientology, why didn't you leave? And in my opinion, one of the most common things is, I didn't want to lose my family. I didn't want to lose my friends. I didn't want to lose my job. And then it becomes, I was afraid of losing access to Scientology's bridge to total freedom, because they believe that that is the only way for them to grow spiritually. And you leave Scientology and you start to explore different things, maybe go to therapy, maybe other self-help, and you find out, oh my gosh, there are so many options out there for help, and so many of them don't even cost money. You can even find them here on YouTube. You can just learn so much in different ways of thinking, but it's part of the trap that keeps people in Scientology. Now let's look at a clip from cult expert Rick Allen Ross, who is on Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan has a big podcast and channel here on YouTube. And Rick Allen Ross, they were talking about the mental health consequences in Scientology. And if you don't know, Rick Allen Ross is, I would say he is easily one of the leading cult experts, not just on Scientology, but on a multitude of other cults. I've had him on my channel. Go on my channel, search up Rick Allen Ross. And I did a great interview with him. It was so much info there. So much info there. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at this clip.
I've heard a lot of rumors about people that have tried to escape this, that have been blocked away, kind of kidnapped. I mean, what do you make of this? Is that true?
Well, on occasion, Scientologists will have problems, that are not apparently effectively dealt with by Scientology.
Exactly, because there is no valid mental health treatment in Scientology or acknowledgement that mental health issues are actually a thing.
They may have a psychotic break. They may have problems because they're schizophrenic.
This is similar, these mental health issues. Think about Lisa McPherson going down the street, right in the middle of the street, taking off all her clothes because she needed help. That was what she felt what her option was. And then she ends up being locked away by Scientology at the Fort Harrison Hotel and dies under their care. Whitney Mills, another Scientologist operating Thetan level 8, similar fate. So he's speaking a lot of truth here.
Or they're deeply depressed, and Scientology says that they can cure these problems. But
well, that dude's got like a lot of alcohol in the background there. I never noticed that before.
but they apparently can't, because there are families that say a suicide occurred because their family member did not get the help they needed, or that they were in lockdown in Scientology.
Exactly. That's often what ends up happening, especially if you're in the C organization and you just start showing a little bit of mental instability. I mean, let's be honest, it's going to be more than a little, and they don't see it. The people there are not trained to recognize, oh my gosh, I think this person is experiencing depression. We need to get them help. We need to do something about it. They're not. No one in Scientology is equipped to really recognize and deal with that. All they can do is think within the confines of what L. Ron Hubbard said about it. And what L. Ron Hubbard says, when you're struggling and you're struggling mentally, do more Scientology. If you're having doubts and you feel yourself withdrawing from Scientology, you have Overton withholds or misunderstood words, and you need to do more Scientology. So he is dead right about that. Now, I want to look at another clip from this where he talks about how Scientology convinces you basically that acting against your own best interests is what you need to do in Scientology. That's so much of the indoctrination.
Consent. How was that consent obtained? What was the process? Because there have been allegations that it can be quite coercive, quite manipulative to get that person to go to that rehabilitation program. And it's a very, very harsh environment, according to people who have left.
And he's talking about the Rehabilitation Project Force, which only members of the C organization do. I don't think he made that part clear, but that's totally fine. That they do. And then Scientology will say, oh, no, members volunteer and agree to go to the Rehabilitation Project Force. Yeah. Yes and no, not really. You were heavily coerced. Many leave. They're like, no way, I'm out. I'm not doing it. I remember when I was in the Sea organization and I was, nobody Jane in the Sea org. I worked in the Estates organization. Then I worked for the Continental Liaison Office for a while. Then they were looking at promoting me to a much higher position. And I was like, oh, hell no. That has RPF written all over it. I'm already getting in trouble doing a simple job because all my joking and degrading and whatnot. Well, fortunately, I got pregnant and it got me out of that job and also out of the Sea organization, but not out of Scientology. That is a whole nother story. Most of you guys know, but that is also goes back to kind of what I was saying earlier. Sometimes leaving Scientology is a multi-step process and it's going to be different for every person. Some people are going to leave Scientology, still believe in it and think L. Ron Hubbard's okay. And some people are like, I'm done with everything. I left the Sea organization, but not Scientology, because I thought all this craziness, this is the Sea org. These people are just nutty. Surely this is not the case across Scientology. And then I went on to become a Scientology public person and find out, yes, the insanity. Yeah, that's just part of it. You cannot be in Scientology and not feel like you're living in the Twilight Zone on the regular. It's just part of it. You start to normalize that feeling and think, you know what? All this stress and anxiety and uncomfortableness is obviously coming from me, not Scientology. It's coming from my reactive mind. It's coming from my body, Thetans. That's what they want you to think. That's what they want you to believe. All right, let's finish this clip up.
So I would say that they are acting against their own best interests by being there. And in my opinion, that would be a sign of undue influence, that people are acting against their own best interests, but conforming to what the leadership wants them to do, which is in the leadership's best interest. So in my opinion, Scientology exercises very extreme undue influence over its members.
Absolutely. They do. They do. The level of control that Scientology has perfected in ways of getting their members, especially staff members and C organization members, to do its bidding, to lose all sight of sanity and what is actually right and work on behalf of Scientology. There's so much blind trust, which is a lot of what makes it a cult. You're not allowed to question, and the results are devastating. There are serious consequences. People have lost their lives. People have experienced extreme mental health issues because of Scientology and them not getting help. Even people whose families were in Scientology for multiple generations, they're not immune to mental health issues that are not addressed in Scientology. Radiant Life says it takes a lot of bravery to leave with nothing, no support, no money, no work record, maybe no education. At the same time, you have Scientology telling you, you know what, you're going to end up working at McDonald's. Okay, number one, nothing wrong with working at McDonald's. I wonder if they get a discount. McDonald's has the best fries and Diet Coke, which I don't drink on the regs because I know it's horrible, aspartame, but it is my naughty drink. And if I want a good one, I'm going to McDonald's. I don't know why it's better, but it is. Nothing wrong with that. But this is just part of how they try to make you think you're just going to fail. You can't do anything without Scientology. And we know that's absolutely not true. And that's in large part why I love on my channel, I want to share those stories of life after a cult, right? We find out what happened when you're in, what happened when you left, what's happening now. And I try to do that through my own life too, of like, hey, there's so much life to be lived. There's so much joy to be had. You don't need to be caught up in somebody else's drama in this organization trying to clear a planet. I am so glad to not be doing that anymore and be able to focus on myself and my life. All right, we're going to jump topics now. We need to talk about what happened between Scientology and Oprah. And we're going to look at another lovely Office of Special Affairs document from Mike Rinder about this. Let me set the scene. The year, I don't remember. But Tom Cruise was acting a fool. Okay, that we know. He went on the Today Show and was ranting about Brooke Shields being on drugs and her postpartum and how that's not a thing. And he just, she needs like real help, like Tom Cruise Scientology help. And he basically trashed Brooke Shields for making the choice and following the advice of her doctors in getting treatment for her postpartum depression. Also, I'm not trying to be any way, but Tom Cruise, when is the last time you had a baby? Do you understand what those hormones do to your body? The sleep deprivation as a new mother, then you add the hormones and God forbid you got other kids running around, responsibilities, a job, partner, house, everything. Tom Cruise, without nannies, without all the help. Now, Brooke Shields, here's somebody who, I don't know her financials. I didn't see her bank statement, but I'm pretty sure it's better than mine and could even have that kind of help and still had her experience with postpartum depression. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't go, oh, okay, you make a certain amount of money. Okay, postpartum depression is not coming for you. That's not how it works, Scientology. So when he was going around doing all this, right, acting crazy, you all remember it, Oprah had Brooke Shields on her show later afterwards. And apparently Oprah told John Travolta and this other guy who was Kevin Huvane, who is at CAA, which is like the talent agency for celebrities. I think they do sports talent too. Told them, well, from the perspective of Scientology, lied to them about what was going to happen with Brooke Shields on the show. So let's take a look. Let me pull up this document. This document, Office of Special Affairs, it's one of yours from Mike Rinder. So pay attention. We're going to read it. We're going to check it out. Okay, so this is regarding Oprah, okay? Goes to chairman of the board's communicator, data religious technology center, data, and that just means like the files. It goes into the files at these places. So this went all over the place. Dear sir, the Oprah show with Brooke Shields aired today. Oprah flat out lied to JT and Kevin Huvain. Now, y'all know who JT is, right? John Travolta. And in a lot of these internal documents, Scientology uses initials because, you got to do it in code because no one could possibly know that JT is John Travolta. That's like so obvious. I feel like they should have had better code names. You know what I'm saying? Like then maybe then in the C organization, like if you worked in the estates or even in security, everybody's got a code name, a handle. What was Lana's? What was my sister's? Does anyone remember? She mentioned it in a video. Ooh, extra points if you guys remember this. What was it? Ooh, God, it's going to kill me. I gotta ask her. This will just take a second. I'm just going to text her so that we know. What was your code name in the Sea Org? Let's see. We'll see if she answers. So it's like not even code. We know that it's John Travolta. So Oprah flat out lied to John Travolta and Kevin Huvain, who is the guy at CAA, the talent agency. She brought the issue up right from the outset and asked her several questions about it, one after the other. Transcript attached. So basically, Oprah, they're saying lied to John Travolta and Kevin Huvain. And so sounded like Scientology thought that Oprah wasn't going to ask Brooke Shields any questions about this. She wasn't going to get her point of view. What did they think? Oprah was going to have Brooke Shields on, who just got slammed by Tom Cruise. And Brooke Shields was going to be like, oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. No. Somehow they thought this. So I don't know if Oprah actually lied. You never know, too. This is a Scientology document, right? So she used a clip from Access Hollywood and had obviously made a deal with them, as Access Hollywood also ran a piece following up on the Oprah show that was a prepared retrospective by Billy Bush, basically taking credit for being the first interview done that began the controversy. A copy of the Oprah tape was sent to John Travolta and Kelly Preston. This, of course, is when she was still alive. R.I.P. Kelly Preston. They were outraged and disgusted. You got to remember, too, anytime someone is communicating to David Miscavige, right? Which this is from Mike Rinder to David Miscavige. If you're new to my show, Mike Rinder was the head of the Office of Special Affairs. He has since left Scientology, became a whistleblower, wrote a book, has done a lot to expose Scientology, and right now, unfortunately, is dealing with a life-ending illness with cancer. And by the way, I don't have an update on that. I mean, we've all seen kind of like, I think the updates on his YouTube and Leah Remini's update, but still wishing Mike and his family peace in this. Absolutely. So Oprah, somehow Scientology thought was supposed to do their bidding. And she didn't. So a copy of this tape, a copy of the interview with Brooke Shields gets sent to John Travolta and Kelly Preston, who are outraged and disgusted. Because again, like I was saying, when you're talking to David Miscavige, you really got to show how upset you are. You really have to they were disgusted and outraged. And then if you're in trouble with David Miscavige, which we've seen in a lot of these leaked documents, you have to grovel. I'm a suppressive person. This is all my fault. I mean, that's how they have to communicate. And you see that here. They were disgusted, outraged. John said he wanted to think about what to do, whether he should call Oprah and tell her what he thought and that he was not going to be on the program again, or just to ignore her. Okay, now I got a little take on this, okay? So Mike Rinder's basically saying John Travolta, him and Kelly saw the tape. They're super pissed off about it. They're like, oh, outraged, supposedly. And then John Travolta says, I'm just going to kind of think on this and decide what to do. Do I want to call Oprah or I just want to ignore this? This is speculation on my part. Let's make that clear, okay, everybody? Speculation. I have nothing to back this up. I think it was kind of like John Travolta's way of being like, man, not my monkey, not my circus, but okay. But he can't say that to Scientology. Let me think on it. Let me think on it and decide. Yeah, I'm outraged. I don't know. Was he really, though? I don't know. That's kind of what I think went on. So then Odin got a copy of the tape. Now, Odin is Tom Cruise's production company. So apparently copies of this tape was like flying after this Brooke Shields interview. So Tom Cruise's production company gets a copy of the tape to deliver to Kevin Huvain, the guy over at the CAA, the talent agency. He was totally burned by Oprah and her producer. Based on the other proposal I sent to you, I will find out when I call Rick Nikita. I don't know who that is. And Kevin Huvain, find out what they had to say about this. This is okay. Much love, Mike. So Tom Cruise, panties all in a bunch over at his production company. They're trying to gaslight this Kevin Huvain guy, right? Who is over at CAA. All because why? Because Tom Cruise was an idiot, went after Brooke Shields, and Brooke Shields had something to say about it. Do you see the length, the depth Scientology will go to try to control a narrative every single time? It's insanity. This is a church, right? These are people out there doing good in the community with Winter Wonderland. Yet the other side of that, because remember, the Office of Special Affairs does two things. They do public relations for Scientology and then damage control, where they use private investigators to noisily investigate critics of Scientology. And by the way, Scientology, Office of Special Affairs, the private investigators you sent to Miami, thank you for that. A couple of them were super cute. Didn't hate it. So this is what happened, and this is why Scientology was so pissed off at Oprah and probably is to this day. Now, I don't remember if John Travolta ever went back on or not. We could probably look in the Google machine and find out for sure. I am curious. I should have looked into that before. If somebody wants to Google it quick, let me know. I guess you'd have to find out what year. Well, it was 2006, I want to say, 2005, 2006, when that document was written. So after that, was John Travolta ever on Oprah again? I feel like he was, but I can't say for sure. That was a long time. I really feel like he was, though. I do. I feel like he was. All right, now let's take a look at these. How do we word this? Alien beliefs by Scientology. Like what do there, I've gotten this question a lot too. Like, well, especially with all of the drones and everything going on, is what do Scientologists believe about aliens? What do they think about it? Well, there are two books that Scientology leader David Miscavige, you know, he's on the floor somewhere right now. David Miscavige, your leader, Office of Special Affairs, pushed on the Office of Special Affairs and others that they should read to get the real deal on the aliens. So first, let's take a look. Let's take a look at a clip from Aaron over at Growing Up in Scientology about this. Let's check this out.
Because the director of the Office of Special Affairs for the Philadelphia organization was my stepdad at the time. He told me about it and he gave me a copy of the book and he said, you got to read this book. Came down from COB. COB himself said, we all need to read this book. This book and another book written by Jim Marrs called The Alien Agenda is all about how aliens have been running Earth since the ancient Sumerian civilization or before. The Alien Agenda actually gets into the conspiracy theory, very much promotes it, that the moon is actually a hollow alien spaceship that was maneuvered into orbit around the Earth at a very specific time in civilization's documented history. And, you know, a lot of the key to all this is from the Sumerian tablets and all the stuff.
Now, my purpose here today is not to say whether that's true or not true. I think people need to make their own decisions. I just find it very interesting that there are two books that David Miscavige has pushed onto senior Sea Org members and the Office of Special Affairs, and it trickled down to a smaller Scientology organization. And that person involved in the Office of Affairs there shares this with Aaron, who happened to be his stepdad. Oh, little note though, Nancy found out for us. 1996, Travolta first appeared on the show. Travolta discussed finding joy in life. So he was on after 2007 and 2010. So John Travolta did go back on Oprah after that, which to me backs up what I was saying, is that he didn't really care. I don't think he really cared. I don't think he was outraged and disgusted. Maybe he was. I don't think he was. That's what I think. Okay, so back to these books. So David Miscavige takes these 2 books and is like, yes, read this. This is what's happening. This is the alien agenda. So let's take a look. I've got some notes about this. I've got thoughts, y'all. I've got thoughts. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about these 2 books. One of them is Rule by Secrecy, the hidden history that connects the Trilateral Commission, the Freemasons, and the Great Pyramids. It's written by a guy named Jim Marrs. And we're going to go over just a couple key points from the book, because that will help to answer the question, I think, about what is the line? What are Scientologists being told about aliens and or an alien agenda? And feel free to jump in the live chat. Tell me your thoughts as we go through. Any questions? If you were on the replay, get in those comments. You know you want to. Same thing. Let's see your questions. Let's talk about this. Couple key points from this book. Number 1, existence of a hidden power structure. Marrs argues that global events and policies are orchestrated by secret societies like the Freemasons, the Trilateral Commission. That one I don't know a lot about. The Bilderberg Group and others, and that it operates behind the scenes to consolidate power and control. Now, right off the bat, I don't know. I think that actually could be. I mean, who really knows what's happening in many ways? But I think it's an interesting point to take and push on Scientologists. Number 2, control of history and knowledge. He suggests in the book that much of recorded history has been manipulated or obscured by elite groups to maintain their dominance. This includes the suppression of alternative histories, archaeological discoveries, and ancient knowledge. Again, maybe, maybe not. But doesn't that kind of align with Scientology's belief that their truth, that much of the planet is just not fully ready for it? That's why you have to be operating Thetan level 3 to find out about Xenu and body Thetans. Doesn't that kind of line up and make sense that, oh, the real history, the real truth is just covered up? So I feel like this also backs up what Scientology wants to do in terms of secrecy. And in ways, it's kind of like, well, you're saying the government's doing this, but Scientology, you kind of do that too. You rewrite history. You control knowledge within the organization. So with David Miscavige telling people in the Office of Special Affairs and others to read this because it defined what the alien agenda is, or also because it's a handbook on how to do the same. That's kind of one of my theories. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. So another point, it talks about a link between ancient civilizations and modern elites. The book gets into connections between ancient societies, like even back in the times of Egypt, and modern secretive organizations like Scientology with their confidential base that no Scientologist knows about, but everybody with a Google Maps does. So Jim Marrs, the author, he postulates that these groups might share esoteric knowledge or philosophies dating back thousands of years. Maybe, maybe not. There's also a manipulation of religion and spirituality. Marrs proposes that organized religion has often been a tool for control. We know that, right? Again, sounds like Scientology. Used by elites to divide and manipulate populations while concealing spiritual truths. Again, some of this being, if I'm being honest, doesn't sound that too far-fetched. But I still think it's odd that this is what Scientology is pushing. Global conspiracy theories. This is another part of that book. Central to the book is the belief in a broad, overarching conspiracy, which involves secret organizations shaping world events, including wars, economic crisis, and geopolitical strategies. Again, did they? Did they not? A search for hidden truth. This I found very interesting because, again, we're talking about David Miscavige pushing this onto the people who are literally controlling Scientology. The author, Jim Marrs, he encourages skepticism of official narratives, and he emphasizes the need to uncover suppressed knowledge. Oh my God, did I just swallow my own hair almost? I think I did. The need to uncover suppressed knowledge to understand the true nature of the global power dynamic. And I can't help but connect the dots in how Scientology positions itself as a suppressed power, as having esoteric knowledge, the secrets to the universe, and they're being suppressed. So by pushing this book saying, hey, this is what this, these behind the scenes people, these elites in power and control are doing. Also, at the same time, kind of gives credence to Scientology's own narrative that that's what's been done to them. It's almost as if David Miscavige feels or identifies with the aliens or an alien agenda. You see what I'm saying? I think there's more than one reason that he pushed this. And let's talk about the second book he pushed. And the second book was called, what was that called again? The Alien Agenda. Same guy, Jim Marrs, wrote The Alien Agenda. And the alien agenda gets into the existence, of course, of extraterrestrials, of ETs. The book, it starts with a pretty compelling argument about the existence of extraterrestrial life. It talks about various historical documents and testimonies from credible sources that suggest we're not alone in the universe, which I believe we are not alone in the universe. And it sets a stage for an intriguing, a discussion about what these encounters might mean for humanity. It also gets into government secrecy. One of the most eye-catching themes, I think, in the alien agenda is the level of secrecy surrounding government knowledge of UFOs and alien encounters. He really gets into the idea that various governments are hiding crucial information from the public, raising questions about transparency and the implications of those kind of cover-ups. So here's the thing again, right? David Miscavige pushing this book, Office of Special Affairs, mandatory reading, government cover-ups. They're covering up the truth. I don't think this push is just about aliens and the alien agenda. I think it's a way of showing them that, hey, see, our belief in Xenu and body thetans and whole track space opera, as L. Ron Hubbard called it, there's truth to it. It's being suppressed. And even this guy is talking about it. This is the Scientology viewpoint that I think is taken with this and why David Miscavige was pushing this book. It also talks about the impacts on society, how revelations about ET life could fundamentally change our society, right? I mean, if we all found out that aliens existed, walked among us, it would completely change people's worldviews in many ways, even religion. There's consequences of this knowledge. There are impacts that I think even our government has thought through that many people think about, if this was true and the information was out there, what would happen? And again, it backs up the Scientology narrative of secret, or what in Scientology is called a hidden data line, where in Scientology, you're not supposed to pretend that you have some background information that everyone else does not have. It very much gives that. My former Scientology friends too, jump in. I am dying to know your thoughts on this as well. We're going to look at some comments in just a minute. So the other thing that this book talked about was the nature of contact, right? The nature of alien contact. Are there benevolent beings here to help us, or do they have their own agenda? And the author, he presented different theories about this, about beliefs that can lead to some intense discussions about our future interactions with these entities or beings or ETs. And kind of the last takeaway on this book was it like a call to awareness that it had. A key point that really emphasizes the importance of being aware and open-minded about these subjects. The book encourages readers to consider broader implications of ET life and to engage in discussions that challenge conventional thinking, which again, right? Nothing wrong with that. Talk about aliens, discuss it. But it also, at the same time, pushes Scientology's agenda. And I feel, again, that this was David Miscavige's way of saying, wink, wink, to people in the Office of Special Affairs to be like, yeah, this is true. Now, again, I'm not saying, the book is right or wrong. I think it's a great topic of discussion to get into. Let's look at what you guys are seeing here. Let me jump in here. Let's see. 420 Otis Ireland. Hey, you got any more Devante videos? Aloha, the hardest working woman on YouTube. I love that. Thank you. That's our friend over in Ireland who introduced us to Devante, who you all got ridiculously obsessed with. And by you all, I mean me, because he's just so handsome. Handsome and unattainable, just like I like him right now. Antics of a Mama Squirrel says, my army above top secret dad wouldn't spill the beans specifically, but he said they had alien proof. I totally believe that. I completely believe that. Lady Jen Out says, common inside to watch UFO stuff when I was younger, but as I grew older, I started to be really scared if they do exist and come here and do stuff that's scary. Yeah, a lot of different theories about it. Myself says, what? Only Hubbard's History of the Universe is the valid one? Yeah. And I think these books are being used to say, look, see, body thetans, whole track, space opera, all a thing. James Steele says, aliens can never be as bad as the humans. I would agree there's some truth to that. Oh, side note too, my sister Lana, y'all want to remember this because one day we're going to do trivia. My sister Lana's code name in the Sea Org was Bobcat. I have to ask her why. I don't remember, but Bobcat, she texted me back. Let's see. Good Juju Travels. Truth mixed with fantasy is an easy sale. Yeah, I think so. I would agree. And it wouldn't be the first time that there was a book outside of Scientology or theories pushed that Scientology presented as proving our own theories. When I was doing the upper levels in Scientology, the operating thetan levels, where you learn about Xenu and body thetans, I remember there was like a card box or a reference in the what's called the confidential course room. It's where we would go in. We would go in and have to take our little pack of confidential materials off the shelf. It wasn't this small. It was like a big binder. Unplug it because this stuff was plugged in. Run over to a table, put it down, plug it in. The tables had these things to plug in. So the confidential pack that talked about Xenu and body thetans and some other things, you got to plug it in. And if it's not plugged in, alarms go off. That building shuts down, locks down, doors lock. That's the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles, the blue buildings on L. Ron Hubbard Way. I don't know, someone might want to ask a Scientologist. Don't forget to plug in your Xenu materials when you're in the course room. You don't want to be out security. Out security is a Scientology term that strikes fear in the hearts of many Scientologists. Because if you are on those upper levels, which you can identify them, they're usually strapped to a briefcase like I was. There's a lot of confidential materials. You have to take that back to where you're staying and lock it. It can be locked in a closet. You have to have the one key or in a vault, and the room that you're doing this Scientology auditing, it has to be locked, and nobody has to have a key. Or you can end up doing getting in trouble and interrogated in Scientology for having what's called out security, a violation of security protocol in Scientology. It still sometimes I end up feeling a little bit of anxiety about security protocols for things where I should not, because I'm not going to get in trouble because I didn't lock my door. It's so ingrained into us that way. It really is. Oh my goodness. Now there is something I want to share with you guys too as my hot topic today that I wanted to talk about that is not Scientology related, but I thought it was super weird. Cece, I was given a non-interpolation order after studying alien abduction. So is alien abduction a book? Cece, I have this memory of you because Cece was in the Sea organization when I was there and I was a teenager then. And Cece, I have this vague recollection of a discussion about a book that then got banned. Maybe it was alien abduction, but I remember you talking about it. We were standing outside on L. Ron Hubbard Way after you come out of the canteen, in that area where now they have all the tables. This was so long ago. But I remember having a discussion with you and others, and people were passing around this book in the Sea Org, and then it got banned and people got in trouble. And a non-interpolation order in Scientology is basically an order put out on the goldenrod that if you upset one more person and they write a report on you, you're going to be declared a suppressive person. Anyway, Cece, tell me if you remember that. I was just thinking about that earlier today, probably because these other alien books that we're talking about. So the thing that I wanted to talk about and show you guys, did you guys hear about the American Airlines flight that flooded? There's like a new fear that's been unlocked now here that you could maybe flood on a flight. Look at this. The plane got a leak. The water, apparently, this is mid-flight. People are trying to avoid getting wet, is coming from the bathroom. And I'm going to choose to believe this is cold, not cold, but clean, just regular water. I feel like if it was actual waste that people would be saying more and wearing masks maybe at this point. But look at that, mid-flight. How bizarre. It just leaks, just like leaking water all over the place. Nothing to see here. Cubana Chica says, yuck, toilet water. That was my first thought. Except I feel like people would have been making a much bigger deal about it. Bina, fantastic comment. It's easier to fool someone than to convince them they have been fooled. Girl, I feel that every single day. That is often the situation with people leaving Scientology, especially people who didn't grow up in it. I feel like those of us who grew up in Scientology, we're a little bit more like, well, we grew up in it. We didn't have a choice. And then now we're discovering other ways and ways of thinking. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you join Scientology as an adult, I can see why you might have a harder time admitting that it was all a lie and not true. Because as an adult, you made that choice to believe this. As an adult in Scientology, I did too, but I had already believed it growing up from childhood, from the age of 5. I started my Scientology indoctrination when I was like 9, 10 years old is when it started. That stuff goes deep. It goes deep. I'm reading your comments. Ooh, that would freak me out. Yuck, toilet water. Ew, ew. Antics says it would be blue if it were the toilet water. Antics, good point. Good point. So maybe it was just regular water that they keep on board. It is disgusting though, isn't it? Yeah. Vanessa, who is a former member of Scientology's Sea Organization, says, I got slapped with a non-interpolation order for being seen crying shortly after my mom passed away. Pretty sure it was never lifted. Holy crap. Wow. So a Scientology Sea Org member is crying because her mother died. And what does Scientology do? You get in a non-interpolation order. You're upsetting people with your grief, with your tears. How dare you cry and interpolate people? Do it one more time and we're going to declare you a suppressive person and really give you something to cry about. Doesn't it really give that? This is how uncaring it is. This is the control. And this is so normalized by people there that the way that story hits you now today is not necessarily the way it hits a Sea Org member, especially one that's been around long enough to know to normalize that type of control and manipulative behavior, but still hurts nonetheless. That's massively traumatizing. Vanessa, I'm so sorry about that. What a bunch of a-holes. That's so, Cubana Chica says it best. That is so sick and twisted. That beyond. Good juju travels. Otherwise it would be blue with floaties. Oh my God. Oh, the water on the plane. Yes, absolutely. Yep, it would. If you could all do me a solid, hit that like, check your subscribe. If you are not subscribed, I would love it if you did, and set that notification bell to all, because sometimes people get notifications, I hear. Sometimes I even get them. I don't know what helps with that. Apparently commenting, being active does, but I don't know. But would appreciate it if you did, because I'm going to pop on at different times this weekend. I'm going to do another recap tomorrow, Saturday, 11 a.m. Central. And, but I got some stuff going on that I might just pop on and surprise you with. So stay tuned. Aloha, everybody. Hey, new user. I was never a Scientologist, but all of you who are now free inspire me. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Truly. Absolutely. Thank you. All right, everybody, get out there on this Aloha Friday and have an amazing cult-free day.